Hey friends, it's Dimitri through Bashka Streetwear. I am driving back home from the office. Gonna go to church and then I'm gonna work a little bit after as well. So I wanted to make a video talking about an interesting topic. So the other day, or a couple days ago, I saw this guy. So I follow this guy that has a pretty significant, large clothing brand, streetwear brand. And I've been following him for a couple of years now, and it's been growing and stuff like that. But he made a series of stories on his Instagram about how back in the day he would try to link up with certain designers and certain outlets and basically get connections in the industry to get his streetwear brand to grow and blow up. And he was basically just saying like, oh, screw you guys. None of you helped me back in the day. You didn't want to link up with me. And look at me now. Like, he blew up and the clothing brand got pretty big and popular. And he was basically saying how those people were just gatekeepers and they didn't think that his brand would go anywhere. Basically that kind of vibe and story. But it made me think that, if you are in a similar position where you're trying to, get your brand going and it might be running slowly or, you want it to blow up in a sense, you don't need connections or celebrities or that whole hype in the clothing brand streetwear industry. You don't need that. You can start out not knowing anything and dip your toes in and grow from there, because that's what I did. When I started out, I had absolutely zero knowledge about how to run a business, how to sell t-shirts, how to do all of that kind of stuff, and how to market. I had no connections in the industry. I had no celebrity endorsements, none of that stuff. So I basically started out at zero in that sense. And there is this kind of thing that happens. I remember when I started out, I was like, oh man, I really want to get featured by this page. I really want to work with this designer or make a collaboration with this brand. I really want this celebrity or person to wear my stuff or for them to notice it, so then the clothing brand will blow up. Because I remember when I first started out, there was some lower level, low key kind of brands, and they would get their t-shirt or something to a celebrity that was up and coming and that eventually would blow up and was popular at the time anyways. And these celebrities and stuff would wear their t-shirts, and then their brand would get significant amount of traction and growth from that. And I was kind of trying to get into that. I'm like, oh man, this would be a great way, to market stuff and to make it blow up. But at this point in my, I guess, career and where I am today, I could honestly not give a crap about where my t-shirts end up, who's wearing them as in terms of how popular they are, or what connections I have in the industry. I honestly don't care. When I started out, I had that kind of mindset in my head, and I just kind of now noticed the past 2 years, I really haven't thought about that at all, whatsoever, really. And I'm at a point where I'm comfortable with where my brand is, although I'm uncomfortable, staying here, I guess what I mean. So I'm always going to seek growth and make it bigger, but I'm not going to be piggybacking off of celebrities or other designers or other brands. I have no desire for that, and that's a personal thing. And when I saw that, streetwear guy post, those stories about how he basically wasn't piggybacking off of everyone. He was kind of calling out other celebrities and, people in the streetwear industry about how they do that. There's a certain group of people and brands that are, to a large extent, they're only as big as they are because they have piggybacked off of someone else. And yes, they have talent, and yes, you have to do other things to get your brand big and famous. But if we're going to be honest, they wouldn't be at that level without that huge endorsement, right? So, and this kind of, it kind of reminds me of like rich people. So there is a portion of wealthy people that are the true like rags to riches stories, in a sense, where they're nobodies, working class people, and they, get to that level, like a very high level of wealth. Although, there's a pretty significant number of people like that. And when you hear those kinds of stories, they're always inspirational and they're really cool to hear, especially if the person that's wealthy is very down to earth. There are people like that. My former boss, who trained me in a lot of different ways with business knowledge, he was that type of person, working class kind of person, and then got to a very high level. But this kind of relates to the whole streetwear thing. So there are rich people that either inherited wealth or got a significant loan from their parents. There's two people that come to mind, Donald Trump and Jeff Bezos. So Donald Trump, he started out with, and he himself has said this, a small loan of $1 million. Now, you do need a level of intelligence and discipline, or if you're really shady, there's also that where you basically squander the money or you do illegal stuff with it. So you need that in order to get billions of dollars, right? Because a lot of people, if someone handed them $1 million, they wouldn't know what to do with it, and all of that money would be lost within a year probably, So you do need some level of intelligence to grow that. But, he did start out from that. And then Jeff Bezos, likewise, he got like a $250,000 loan from his parents to start his business. So there is this thing where people will kind of have this stigma against some rich people. They're like, oh, you're only at this level in life because of mommy and daddy's money, right? And that sucks. I would not want to have that kind of stigma. If I'm successful, I wouldn't want to have that kind of story. Do you know what I mean? And the same thing happens in the clothing brand and streetwear industry. There's a lot of people, especially in comments, they could just be like haters and stuff, but it is partially true. They are at a certain level because of connections. And I'm here to tell you that you don't need any of that. If you're trying really hard to get that and it's not working, or you've had little success from it, because sometimes you can get your product into the hands of significant celebrities or endorsements, and it kind of fizzles out. It doesn't really go the way you want it to go. That does happen as well. But I'm just letting you guys know that is not necessarily important. You can get to a high level in your brand without all of that nonsense in the background. Now, if you are lucky and you are hardworking and you do manage to get those connections and they work out for you, that's great. That I'm not against that. I'm just saying you don't need that. And if you are a person that is diligent, hardworking, and you get your brand to a significant level, and then from there on out, you see significant endorsements, celebrities, popular people wearing your brand, you get other brands that want to collaborate with you that are large, that's great, but it's even a cooler story when you don't have to seek and hunt for that. You know what I mean? It naturally comes to you. That is something that's pretty cool, in my opinion. So that's just some thoughts I had. I liked that guy's post and stories when he was talking about that, because it made me think of myself, and not to get too wrapped up in all that, and to just be laser focused on your brand and your vision, and really, who you want to wear, who you should want to wear your clothes, your customers, the average person. Those are the people that really matter. Those people matter more than all of these endorsements and big brands and connections, because that's ultimately what that's where your sales are coming from. That's where growth comes from, is more customers. And if you just be focused on that, and you focus on developing good designs, good products, and you have some knowledge of how business works, you're going to be just fine. and your brand will go places without all the other nonsense that I mentioned before. So hope that's a bit of encouragement to you guys. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll try to answer that. Anyways, I'll catch you guys later. Thanks.